38 concert tours worldwide, 11 studio albums that span 4 decades, the Titans of Thrash remain the standard by which all other metal is measured. We begin with a 1984 classic from their second album, For Whom the Bell Tolls, followed by the 1992 tour anthem, Wherever I May Roam. And then, let's turn down the house and light up the stage for the Auburn University Marching Band and their show, Metallica.
Ladies and gentlemen, we've got a win in the 2024 football season. We're talking about it now. This is our live reaction show where we talk about the score, the stats, the storylines, all of those things post Auburn defeating Louisiana-Monroe by the score of 48-14. Let's get into all of those things right now. War Eagle, everybody, welcome back to another edition of E2C Network Live. Thank you for joining us and being part of what we call the Auburn Experience. What is the Auburn Experience? We call it a few different things: Auburn sports, Auburn culture, and just for everything else, Auburn family stuff. An easier way to say it is if it's orange and blue, it is what we do. So we thank you for joining us in what we do. What do we do today? We talk about reactions. We talk about stream. We talk about stream of consciousness. We talk about a celebration. No therapy today, folks. In this reaction stream, we are celebrating Auburn, ULM, the final score, 48-14. Auburn taking care of business up and down the board. Very few things to be upset about in this game. Was it a perfect game? Absolutely not. But a far cry from what we've seen in many other games. This is a team that you're supposed to take care of on a normal year, and they did just that in an abnormal year. So all of that is on the table tonight. We're going to dive into 1,000 different things. We'd love for you to join in on the conversation, especially of those that you're watching live. If you're watching on the replay, you can give us some feedback as well. But certainly this is going to be a lot of this interaction will be geared toward those that are watching on the live portion of the show. No matter when you're watching, however you got here, smash that like button. And usually I have to apologize and say, hey, don't smash the like button for the team, because I know that you're not happy about it. But today is one of those things. If for nothing else, smash it for us. Smash the like button to support the Auburn football team and let them know that you are happy with what you just saw out there today. Lots to talk about, lots to dive into. What is it on everyone's mind tonight? We can dive into a bunch of different things. We can start diving into the obvious storylines out there. How about this? While you're getting your mind around things, let me give you a couple things to think about tonight. Peyton Thorne today, 22 out of 32, 286 yards passing with 5 touchdowns, a passer rating of 195, and a completion rate of 69%. Your top rusher on the day, Jarquez Hunter, 14 carries for 102 yards. Mari Alston also gets on the board in a significant way with a touchdown. Cam Coleman, 8 catches for 100 yards and 3 touchdowns. Keandre Lambert-Smith, probably with the catch of the day. Well, actually, I just lied. No, he would have had the catch of the day had it not been for one Cam Coleman. 6 catches for 104 yards, so 2 100 yard passers on the day. Catchers on the day. 507 total yards. And I wanted to talk about this later in the show, but I'm just going to bring it up right now. Absolutely 0 penalties. That is the stat that gets lost in all of this tonight. That is the only stat that I'm obsessed with at this moment, to be honest with you. So there are 1,000 different things that we can dive into, 1,000 different ways. Certainly let us know what is mostly on your mind, what you want to dive in to tonight. Kenny wants to give a shout out to Cam Coleman, saying he should definitely be a Sports Center top 10. Do they still do those, by the way? I'm not sure that they do. If you remember back to our preview show, we were asking a lot of questions about predictions, what would happen in this area, that area. One of the questions we asked was who would be the top receiver, who would get, in your mind, whether that means most catches, whether that means most touchdowns. Here's the crazy thing. Keandre Lambert-Smith had a great day. And on a normal day, he's the headliner. But today, it's one Cameron Coleman. 3 touchdowns, over 100 yards, 8 catches, and just a behemoth of a catch. One-handed in the end zone, certainly it seems like it should be a SportsCenter top 10 play. I wouldn't disagree with you there at all. It's what an impressive performance by him. So hearkening back to what we talked about in our preview, everybody went the route of Keandre Lambert-Smith. Some others went to Malcolm Simmons, who he had a decent day too, was utilized in a variety of ways. He gets a touchdown on a great, probably the best just textbook pass of the day from Peyton. I think obviously the other touchdowns, the exciting ones to Keandre, to Cam, get the most noise, but most certainly I think in my mind, his best pass of the day was Malcolm Simmons hitting him over the middle in stride, setting that man up to be with his blazing speed. Absolutely outstanding. Kenny calls it a textbook game. I think some people will probably disagree that there were textbook means it was absolutely across the board. But here's what I'm going to say about that. In a year that's gone like that, the way it has, certainly it's going to be mostly a textbook game tonight. You hate that there was a couple of big plays, one on our first team defense and another against our second team defense. I believe it was the second team defense, resulting in 2 touchdowns. Really not a whole lot to be upset about, to be honest with you, in most regards here. If we can carry it into next week, certainly. Let's keep it focused on here, though. We're still talking about this game right now. So many of y'all want to move on so quickly to the next thing. We got to focus on this one right now. Do y'all think Perry Thompson got robbed on that catch towards the end of the game? It looked like pass interference to me. From my vantage point, it was hard to tell. Certainly, I would have loved to have seen him get into the mix a little bit more tonight, but it's hard to tell from my vantage point. Speaking of which, since we're kind of talking about everybody, let's talk about all of the receivers tonight. In a night that was dominated by Cam Coleman and certainly Keandre Lambert-Smith, Malcolm Simmons too, you also had catches by Fairweather, Camden Brown, Jarquez Hunter, and Jeremiah Cobb is listed on here as a target. Okay, I was about to say. So really, you only get the ball to 5 total receivers. It's very interesting that they normally don't. I guess you have to put them on there if it's on there. But pass the ball really, really well. I think early in the game, Peyton had a little bit of shoulder stiffness, and which was kind of short-armed a few passes, meaning they were a little bit behind. But also, as I'm sitting up there talking with a friend today as we were watching the game together, some of those passes had to be put in just perfect spots so they wouldn't get picked off. So there's probably a little balancing act to that. Not a absolutely, picture perfect day for Peyton by any stretch of the imagination. But if you're complaining about Peyton Thorne in this game, you're just kind of showing your ignorance at this point. So disappointed that General Booty didn't play today. I forgot all about this storyline on Beaten Lake. So we heard a lot about this La Mo team early in the year. It looks like they've trailed off a little bit as the year went on. We talked about this in the preview. Based off the game simulation that we ran in College Football 25, not that you should take that serious at all. I'm just using this as another reference point. They seemed like their offense was at least going to be able to move the ball pretty well. And it looked like that at times tonight. But credit goes to Auburn's defense for really locking down at times and creating some really hectic problems. We'll get into some defensive stats in just a little bit. Minus a few explosive plays. This game was it is a blowout. 48-14 is a significant margin of victory. Maybe some will disagree and say that's not really a blowout. I think we're just arguing semantics at that point, but certainly put themselves in a really good position to win. Ethan, War Eagle to you, good to see you here. Brian asked, did you sit in your seat, or is I've never sat in that seat streak still alive? It is still alive because, frankly, just be honest, the crowd wasn't amazing today. It looked pretty good in the lower bowl. The upper deck, where I normally am, was very spread out today. Now, in parts, it was pretty packed in, right there in the middle and all that kind of stuff. But where my seat normally is, you could have sat. You could have sat pretty much anywhere you wanted to today in the upper deck if you really searched, enough. I actually got upgraded today, courtesy of my good friend AJ Richardson, who does the No Huddle podcast. His family has some tickets in the actual nice club level seats. So I was living the high life today. People in the booster club at the Eagle tier got to see my view today. So it was fun. It was really fun. I enjoyed the heck out of it. I got to eat a lot. Stan says the defense was outstanding. I agree. I think minus some one or two explosive plays, but those tend to happen in any football game. But for Auburn this year, so I walk away from this game completely satisfied by what I saw out there. Tim wants us to talk about the kicker, the new field goal kicker. He clarified a second later. Did great. Love to see him kick more. Love to see him kick one from 40 plus. Certainly, one of the not biggest storylines out there, but just one of the storylines that I think started circulating early before the game kicked off was who was going to be taking the kicks for Auburn. Towns has struggled at times, and Alex has struggled with his health for a long, long time. I do not know how to pronounce his last name. I think it's Vachon, Ian Vachon. He makes one from 22 and 26, and that 26 one was both would be at a hard angle if it was on the sides, that being that close up. But 100% for him and a great start. A former walk-on from Birmingham Southern, I believe, before their program shut down. But yeah, I mean, a great performance by him today in his first start for Auburn. I believe we had Towns still doing the kickoffs and stuff, so he's still finding a role and doing that very well. I'm glad that they're involving him after the rough go of it that he's had at place kicker this year, and it's just been a wild year for Auburn at that position and a wild year in general. Yes, this cannot be said enough. Crazy that there were no penalties for Auburn today. So if you were following us on X, you will know that about halfway through the fourth quarter, we put a message out and said, if this holds, there's going to be a forgotten stat in this that most people are going to miss unless it's talked about. And we didn't say what it was because we didn't want to jinx it. About a minute left, we posted hold. You know that meme with Mel Gibson, hold. And when we got the ball back to down it and take it to the house, I said, I'm starting to type it out right now. Sure enough, no penalties on the day, folks. No penalties. No penalties on punt returns. No penalties on kickoff returns. And there were some of those today. Jeremiah Cobb nearly busts one loose if he doesn't get grabbed in the back of his jersey. No holding. No personal fouls. No pass interference. No late hits. No offsides. No false starts. No penalties. This needs to be celebrated. I know when we talk about some of these minute areas, it feels like we're trying to search and grab and reach for moral victories and stuff. But folks, this has been a big area of issue for Auburn this year, the penalties. And it was a great day for that. No penalties, period. Zero, none, meaning no yardage loss, all of it. Let's see, only 2 penalties the entire game. All games need to be like that. Well, they won't be when the SEC refs are involved, but certainly it is. It was so nice. Let's see here. It's a shame that Kyle was not as optimistic about this game in our offense as some of us were in the preview show. I try my best to live in the world of reality, and I think we've struggled to see this team get much higher than 20 against a lot of other teams. Certainly against Alabama A&M, they were able to do that, and a few others, but. Today they took care of business, and it's a great sign for next week because we got a challenging one to come up next week. Ethan points this out, and I know we're going to talk about this eventually, so we can head this way. Thoughts on Walker? Personally, did not think he played long enough to decide my opinion on him. I don't think you should make an opinion on him based off of this game at all. But what I hope that this dispels, and by the way, I just passed Walker White walking back to the car, aka the mobile broadcast studio. And when I was watching him today, I was very excited to see him out there. He had the first time we've seen him all year take some snaps. But all of this narrative about just play him, I think what you saw out there is a guy that's still a freshman quarterback. Throwing the ball too high, nearly throwing some picks, and dropping the ball on a fumble. It is what it is, right? He made some freshman mistakes, but that's what freshmen do, right? They make freshman mistakes. It is good regardless to see him out there. His stats on the day, let me pull them up. 2 for 5, 18 yards, no touchdowns, 70 rating, 40% completion percentage. And I forget who all he got the ball to. Camden Brown. I forget who else he got the ball to tonight. But also, let's look at his running stats to see how he did there. Walker White, 4 for 18, so 4.5 per carry. I think the greatest thing that we saw from Walker tonight was the use of his legs. I think you hear that these guys can do that. You see it in their high school tape, but it's a different thing to do it up against college level speed and strength and that stuff. So I'm really excited about that aspect of his game, and I'm excited for how he may begin to continue to grow into his role as a college level and a SEC passer. So the fumble is unfortunate, but certainly they will make mistakes sometimes. He should have been benched. Isn't that what we do to a quarterback that makes a mistake? Thank you for putting it in parentheses or hyperbole. Yeah, I think a lot of people had to take their shut up juice today in regard to the quarterback situation. Peyton played outstanding. Great to see Walker. I personally would have loved to have seen Hank some more and see Holden. Now, we kind of shot ourselves in the foot a little bit there with the giving up a touchdown to start off the second half and then having to regain that lead. I truly felt that if we went out and scored first in the beginning of the second half and then they didn't score, we stopped them, we'd start seeing some more. I think it looks like the plan was always to play Walker. So we probably would have seen Walker for most of the rest of the third quarter, maybe a little bit more, and then we might have seen a series with Hank and with Holden. There goes a football player right now, I believe, by the way. So live from the broadcast studio. But we'll never know, right? But you got to see, everybody wanted to see Walker. You saw, I think we all can definitively say that based off of our limited interviewing of him, that there's still a ways to go there, but very happy with him. Let's see here. Rodney says, I think Freeze still needs to run it more. He's getting away for the run. What do y'all think? I think, Rodney, it's a very easy narrative to go with because that's what we're used to. That's what I go with a lot, and that's what I prefer, but that doesn't mean that it's necessarily what worked. Frankly, if we're this successful and only run it that amount, I'm good with it. I'll just be honest with you, because 100-yard rushing day for Jarquez Hunter, Damari also gets in with a touchdown. There's nothing to really complain about. I think sometimes we get way too focused about the we get way too focused about the quantity than the quality. Listen to the quality of the day. 14 carries for Jarquez, 102 yards, 19 on as long as run, 7.3 per carry. We've seen games where people screamed, give him the ball more, give it, or just run it more, or whatever. But usually it's around Jarquez, and his numbers went way down because it's about who you're matching up with, how you're getting support from the offensive line, how's your passing game doing to support it. It's a much more nuanced thing than that. So certainly I prefer to run the ball a lot, but that doesn't mean that's what's best for the team. I'm just thankful we had a great performance with that today. In fact, let's look at the breakdown real quick. Let me go back over here. And I know it's starting to get a little bit dark in here, so we're going to start heading towards the end here in a little bit. 507 on the day, total yards. Pass yards, 304. 203 is your rush yards. And there's a 100-yard difference there, but it's fairly, I wouldn't call it balanced, but close to being balanced. And thank you for reminding people to smash that like button. And the team wasn't that good, certainly, but you got to still give credit where credit is due. Speaking of, Stan brings up a great point, and I don't even know that I have brought it up yet. Did I? How about Mr. Jarquez Hunter? 1,000 yards. And we all knew it on that big run he had that he busted loose. And I think people missed that he came back in for one more carry to get over the 100-yard mark for the game and was even more excited about that. It seemed like he was more excited about that than he was from our vantage point watching him run off the field. So what a game for Jarquez. I think this cements Jarquez in a top 10 category. Well, I'd have to go look at it. Maybe a bit of a step out, just don't want to operate off of the emotions of hyperbole right now, but certainly that question's been asked before. I think if you get 1,000 yards in a season, that is commendable, and he's got 2 more games left, so maybe he can push to like 1,200, things like that. But with his dynamic nature, with his athletic ability, his versatility, I think we're talking about a guy that is, he's got an argument to be in some top 10 categories, but we'll certainly tackle that another day. But what a day for him, having that 1,000 yard completion today, but the 100-yard rushing day. Yeah, this is a great thing that people are missing that aren't at the game. I don't know if they're showing it on TV, but the guy watching from the crane in the stadium had me dying. Yeah, man, it's that. What a seat, what a view. I'm sure everything looks small up there, but you have the most unique view in all of that. Corey says focusing on the passing game was a good thing. We haven't been that good on that, and getting more reps was good to have. And I think there's probably, I don't think anybody's verbalized this quite yet. That's a giant RV, by the way. Sorry, I'm not like squirrel. Anyway, I did like that we kept Peyton, in hindsight, Peyton in there more, because he needs that. He needs to have that good day and continue to build on it, to build that confidence for these final 2 games. So I agree with Corey here that I'm okay with us throwing more in this game. Because we were so effective with what we did with the rushing attack. Whether that opened up the pass or that pass opened that up, it was all working. It's really getting dark and fuzzy, I can tell. So sorry, guys. I know it's a little bit. I got to the car a little bit later, hanging out at Teamer's Corner, getting some shots. Let's see. What else haven't we talked about yet? Oh, defensive stats, and then we'll start to kind of round out our show here. Let's look at our guys today. Defensive stats. Your leading tackler, tie 3-way. Jaron Thompson, Kayan Lee, Caleb Harris, all defensive backs. All defensive backs. With some of their big runs and passes that they had, that doesn't surprise me, but it's very well spread out today. You got 3 with 5 total tackles, and then you've got 2 with 4. That's Dorian Mausi, Jalen McLeod. Jalen McLeod had a great game today too. Austin Keys, DeMarcus Reddick, what a hit he had. And a sack, I believe. Yes, a sack. So if you look across the stat line, just because he's not the top tackler, doesn't mean he didn't have the best game. DeMarcus Reddick may have had it. 3 total tackles, 2 solo, 1 assist, 2 tackles for loss, including that sack. Sylvester Smith had a pass breakup. So did Jaquez. I think it's not. Is it Jaquez Robinson? I think is how you say his name. Who else had some noteworthy things on defense here? I'm trying to see if there's anything. McLeod, we talked about, had a good day. Half a sack, half a tackle for loss. Both those are the same. Jalen McLeod with 4 total tackles. So lots to go around on all sides of the ball today. Okay, here's what we're going to do since we're losing light here, and we've been going about 23 minutes. I'm going to give you the rundown here at the end of the show, and then we're going to wrap it up and take some final questions and comments from you guys. So get them in now if we have not talked about it yet. Here's what we got coming up for you. Remember, tomorrow is the Auburn Experience live recording, episode 102, live back in our home studio. Austin will be back with us. We've got a great show. We've already been talking about planning for you. We'll certainly talk about this. There's a bunch of signing day things. 9 o'clock Eastern time. Join us live. It's always a great time because we do a little bit of a Q&A after too. If you guys want to hang out with us during the live stream, 9 Eastern time tomorrow, episode 102. Also, don't forget post-game streams for basketball. We got a North Alabama game matchup. It's going to be a fun one in Neville Arena. We'll talk about it right after the game. They'll start right after that since I'll be at the home studio. So pay attention for that. Plenty more coming up this week, so be on the lookout for that. And certainly check out our links in the description on YouTube to help support our content here. And you can also support us by supporting Alumni Hall. Go to our link in that description link, and you can buy some gear from Alumni Hall. Get yourself geared up, support them, and support us at the same time. All right. Final questions, comments, derogatory rebuttals. Give me 1 second, actually. Let me see. I got a text coming in. Everything okay. You guys get your final comments and questions in. Sorry, y'all seeing me type. I know it was bouncing the thing. Let's see here. Can't wait till we get 2 cranes in a couple of years. All right. Mousy was lost in translation today. Didn't hear his name that much. But isn't it great to hear some other people's names? Because I'd like to hear more people than just him. Not that I don't love talking about him, but he's been the guy forever. No Uber fares getting sent to me. I don't think we're going to have those problems when I broadcast from over this way. But certainly, yeah, it's interesting. Okay, reading that text. Okay. Halftime performance was great, and not about the game, but certainly we can mention it. And there goes my mouse, so I'll have to work without it. I'll have that probably posted for you guys. If not, probably tomorrow. I may try to get it. It'll probably be tomorrow if you want to watch that. So be looking for that if you're interested in those things. What else haven't we talked about yet? Talked about Cam already. What else? Running back for LA, for Lamo, he only needed 22 yards, and he would have had 1,000 yards today. Let's see. Let's look at him and see what we got going on here with him. Scoring. Sorry, I know the thing's bouncing. Rushing. So he only needed 22 more yards is what you're saying? Or he did get it because he got 60 yards total, or at least if I'm reading this correctly. Anyway. And by the way, General Booty was in the game. For those of you that are interested in that narrative, the fun named quarterback for Lamo, he was in the game. He's 1 for 1. Go figure. I don't know. How much is a rate for the Loomis Uber? More than you can afford, sir. Maybe the Conquer Club members would get a discount. Well, it's a little sour note to end on, but Cody says the attendance wasn't really that great today. We did discuss this, but can't really be shocked for a morning kickoff against a less than exciting opponent, and certainly the way the season's been going. But all in all, I think it's not really super worried about that at this point. I have a feeling next week is going to be electric. Night game, final home game, final SEC game, senior night. We gonna have fun. We're going to have fun all day. Ethan giving a call out to the defensive line. Did great. Got to the UM quarterback many, many times. Plenty of praises to go around, whether you're talking about receiving, quarterbacking, new faces we're used to, highlight reels, all of the different things. What a game it was, folks. 14-48 or 48-14. Auburn wins. So excited that we got this win, and excited that we're finally not having a therapy session and we're having a celebration session here in our post-game show. Thank you guys for hanging with us, sticking with us, and being patient while we got back to do the show today. For those of you that watched it live, for those of you on the replay, thanks for stopping by, hanging out with us, and being part of our little family within the Auburn family. Until I talk to you again, War Eagle.